Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back. Today I've got another review for you. Today we're looking at the new Bauer 2000 PSI pressure washer from Harbor Freight. This is model 20141E-B, currently just launched at a price of $199. So I picked it up, and as per usual, we're first going to unbox it, we're going to put it together, and then we're going to try it out and see how everything works. All right, let's get to it. Before cracking her open, we can see this is outputting 1.3 gallons per minute, which is about what similar units from competitors offer, at least according to the box. Furthermore, we've got an integrated soap dispenser, hose reel, and spray nozzle storage. This setup, along with its price of just under $200, puts it right in line with competition from Ryobi, Greenworks, SunJoe, Karcher, and probably a dozen other no-names on Amazon. Opening it up, and we get that first unmistakable whiff of Beijing air, and that is really not meant to pass any judgment, but that distinct odor caused by what I assume is a combination of chemicals and smog leaves little doubt about where this unit last saw the light of day. On top is the instruction manual that we'll need in a minute to finish some light assembly duties. Under that is one half of the spray wand. It appears identical in all respects except for color as the one supplied with the Greenworks unit I reviewed last year. The extension is out next. It's all metal, a combination of stainless steel and brass fittings. Feels quite sturdy actually. After that, we've got the wand holder packaged in a little Ziploc with the wheel axle hardware. Right next door to that is another Ziploc containing the nozzle and cord holders. Then, packaged in just a small amount of bubble wrap is the cart's handle. Holes for accessory holders are pre-drilled, and the top is covered in neoprene foam. A nice touch. The motor and cart assembly are out next. It's surprisingly weighty. One gets the feeling there's a decent amount of metal under the hood. So, initial impressions and equating pounds with quality is very good. Finally, last out are our two wheels. Before we move on to assembly, let's take a minute to talk about this unit's warranty. Traditionally, this is something Harbor Freight and the Bauer line have been a bit stingy with. Like most of the other tools sharing this pressure washer's brand name, it comes with just 90 days. That is really quite bad. Competitors Ryobi and Greenworks both provide a full 3 years on their units, and that's including accessories. Karcher pressure washers come with 1 year on the pump plus 90 days on accessories, while SunJoe offers 2. Paperwork out of the way, let's move on to assembly. Step 1 includes the installation of the wheels. A simple 1/2 inch-ish bushing setup is all we've got to work with. No bearings here, but then again, I wouldn't expect them at this price point. We'll go ahead and install the handle next. Before snapping into place, I did notice a little rust inside. Not the end of the world, otherwise, assembling this is quite easy. It just snaps into place, secured by 2 spring-loaded locking pins. The accessory holders go on next and will require a driving device. I just used a number 2 Phillips for the cord hanger. To secure the wand bracket and nozzle holder, one must penetrate a couple of rear holes with some coarse threaded screws. It's metal into plastic, so be sure not to over tighten and strip anything out here. Finally, I'll go ahead and install the stainless steel wand extension. It's held in place with some solid feeling brass threads and double O-rings. Hopefully, that should mitigate the chances of any water being ejected mid-wand. And that's about it for assembly of the Bauer 2000 PSI pressure washer. After it's all together, we can see that overall the unit looks pretty nice. We've got a top-mounted power switch, side-mounted pump, front-mounted hose inlet, and rear-mounted high-pressure outlet. Everything is held together by hex cap screws. All in all, it doesn't scream Harbor Freight, and I think that's a good thing. Before firing up for the first time, I'm going to install some quick disconnects. Nicely, this unit uses the industry standard M22-14 fitting. Some competing units use the less common M22-15 connection, or even worse, proprietary hardware. I ordered these off of Amazon and they make setup and breakdown so much easier. I'll place a link below. It's an associate link for which the channel will earn a small commission. Use is greatly appreciated. Now, when initially turning on, I noticed the unit suffers from what I consider a problem that pretty much all electric pressure washers suffer from: the lack of a no-flow motor shutoff mechanism. Let me demonstrate. If you inadvertently plug the machine in without water connected and while the power switch is on, the motor will spin up dry. It really seems like this is a problem that shouldn't exist, but again, is definitely not unique to the Bauer. Minor gripes aside, let's go ahead and see this unit actually shoot a bit of water. Oh yeah, a tip would help. So it sounds like just about every other electric pressure washer with a universal motor. To put a number on that comment, I'm going to see exactly how loud it is using my decibel meter. The Bauer 2000 PSI pressure washer settles right in around 88 decibels at about 5 feet. That's right in line with competing units from Greenworks. For those without a good frame of reference, my Dyson Ball Animal Plus was about 84.5 decibels when I tested that last year. In other words, the pressure washer from Harbor Freight is a little louder than a vacuum cleaner. In our first actual practical test of the unit, I'm going to be giving my truck a little hands-off washing action. For this, I'll be hooking up my shorty gun to a foam cannon and spraying it on dry. This is another Amazon purchase that worked out really well. For around $30, I got the shorty, a foam cannon, and 5 spare tips. Really not a bad deal. When doing this type of wash, those quick disconnects once again demonstrate their value, as one is able to quickly switch between power soaping and power rinsing. After a quick blow dry, we're about done. I know this type of wash isn't as good as one done by hand, but it is a lot faster and quite a bit more fun. You know, for those days you just want to knock off the big stuff, but aren't planning on taking any Auto Trader or Tinder pics. Now, because one doesn't really need a whole lot of power to take care of a Tacoma, let's try something that does. Here, I'm going to use the 25-degree tip to clean a year's worth of dirt and mildew off some concrete. After viewing this footage, it's obvious the fact that the concrete was already wet makes the before and after difference not quite as stark as it appears in real life. That said, I think it did a very good job performing this homeowner's task. And while a more powerful gas unit would have done it quicker, I don't know that it would have done it any better. Speaking of power, I wonder how much this one has. To find out, I'm going to set up my amp meter in line and pull the trigger. Okay, so we're settling in at about 14.5 amps. Considering my home is serviced by 123 volts, this means the unit is drawing 1,783.5 watts or 2.4 horsepower. Just for fun, let's have a look at the Honda GCV160 engine. It's very commonly used on small gas-powered pressure washers. It's rated at 4.4 horsepower. So, our Bauer 2000 PSI unit from Harbor Freight is roughly 55% as powerful. But how about some other around the home chores? Can it remove bird poop from asphalt? Yes. Yes, it can. Can it remove pine needles and the associated goo that gets ground into a driveway when cars have been backing over it for several months? Yes. Yes, it can. Can one use it to remove annoying weeds? No, not really without making a mess and not accomplishing much. Finally, let's talk about the one item on this unit that I really don't like. The stock hose. It feels incredibly cheap, kinks at the slightest misdirected tug, and has more memory than a Savant. After first unreeling, I took a couple of minutes to try and straighten it out. That only kind of worked, as it immediately recoiled back into a rat's nest. Frustrated, I thought I'd just use the built-in hose reel to store it away and do battle another day. This endeavor proved to be quite annoying, as the location of the retention clips position the fittings in a manner that causes them to hit the motor every rotation. I was eventually able to get it done by manually holding down and then using the rest of the hose to hold the beginning in place. Not ideal. Ultimately, I initially liked the idea of having a built-in reel, but now feel it just gets in the way, and can definitely see why no Pro units have one. So, conclusion time. Should you buy the Bauer 2000 PSI pressure washer from Harbor Freight? Maybe, but probably not. But that's not because it's a bad product. It's actually quite good. It's because competing units for the same or less money are better. Take the Greenworks 2000 PSI unit from Lowe's that I raved about last year. This item has near as makes no difference power and build quality. But for the same price, one gets a warranty that's over 10 times as long, a high quality braided nylon hose, and a turbo nozzle for those really tough to clean areas. Furthermore, that unit frequently goes on sale for $179, and for that price, I think there's no question what's the better value. That said, I highly expect the Bauer to be discounted in the future. I've recently thought that Harbor Freight has been getting a little ahead of themselves price-wise. If this unit is offered on sale or with a coupon for $140 to $160, it becomes much more competitive. And that will about do her for today. If you found any of this helpful, a like, share, or sub would be great. If not, I'm sorry. Okay, take care.